Hero of Hyrule, you should get out of here. This land will be covered by darkness.
Link's gaze narrowed as he heard her words, her once friendly voice now warped and twisted, her words like a warning. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Tari, what are you saying? Are you with Ganon now?
Isn't it obvious? I've chosen the right path. Maybe you should as well. Let your demons win, Link. Let them consume you.
Link's expression hardened as he heard her words. Let the demons win? That couldn't be her speaking, couldn't be her saying those things. It didn't make sense. His friend would never say such things. Tari, what happened to you? Why are you speaking like this? This isn't like you at all.
This is the real me, Link, the true me.
Link's heart clenched at her words. It wasn't true. It couldn't be. This wasn't the bright, cheerful girl that he knew, that he had known for so long. This was someone different. Someone he couldn't recognize. He shook his head, desperate to deny it. No, this can't be you. This can't be the real you. You're not like this.
Face it, Link. It's better to accept than to face the consequences.
Link couldn't believe what he was hearing. This couldn't be happening. He shook his head, refusing to accept it. But he could see the truth in her eyes, the coldness, the lack of emotion. It was like looking at a different person. No, this isn't right. It's not right. I won't accept it.
Tari was becoming irritated.
Tari's eyes narrowed as she saw the defiance in Link's eyes. She couldn't understand why he was still resisting, why he was still refusing to accept the truth. Didn't he understand that she was happier now? That she had found her true purpose? She was becoming impatient, tired of his refusal to see what was right in front of him.
She raised her hand up in front of her as a purple glow started to show before tossing Link back with her powerful dark magic.
Link was caught off guard by the sudden blast of dark magic, the force of the blast sending him flying backwards. He hit the ground hard, the air knocked out of him. He lay there for a moment, dazed and disoriented, trying to process what had just happened. Ganon watched with satisfaction as Link lay on the ground, stunned by the display of power. He couldn't help but feel a sense of pride at Tari's show of strength, at her display of power. She was truly becoming his...
She pries herself from Ganon as she walks up to Link slowly until she was in front of him. Last chance.
Looked up at her as she stood before him, her words hanging in the air like a threat. He could see the coldness in her eyes, the lack of emotion, the lack of remorse. She truly was a different person, a person he didn't recognize.
He pushed himself up, wincing with pain. He could feel the bruises forming on his body, the aches and the pains starting to set in, but he couldn't give up, not yet. He had to try to get through to her, to get through to the girl he knew was inside. Tari, please, this isn't you. You're not like this. You're not like this. You're kind, caring, innocent. This isn't what you want.
Nonsense. My past was my weakness. That was never the true me. Don't mistake that as me.
Link's expression hardened. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. This couldn't be right. This couldn't be what she truly wanted. No. He shook his head, refusing to accept it. This wasn't right. This wasn't fair. He couldn't lose her this way. Ganon watched with smug satisfaction as Link struggled to come to terms with what was happening. He could see the pain and helplessness in Link's eyes, and it filled him with a sense of power. Link was helpless, completely and utterly helpless, and there was nothing he could do to change what was happening.
He pushed himself up, wincing with pain. He could feel the bruises forming on his body, the aches and the pains starting to set in. But he couldn't give up, not yet. He had to try to get through to her, to get through to the girl he knew was inside. Tari, please, this isn't you. You're not like this. You're not like this. You're kind, caring, innocent. This isn't what you want.
Nonsense. My past was my weakness. That was never the true me. Don't mistake that as me.
Link's expression hardened. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. This couldn't be right. This couldn't be what she truly wanted. No. He shook his head, refusing to accept it. This wasn't right. This wasn't fair. He couldn't lose her this way. Ganon watched with smug satisfaction as Link struggled to come to terms with what was happening. He could see the pain and helplessness in Link's eyes, and it filled him with a sense of power. Link was helpless, completely and utterly helpless, and there was nothing he could do to change what was happening. Link looked at Tari, his expression a mix of pain and pleading. He couldn't give up, he couldn't let her go. No, please, don't do this.
Begging will get you nowhere in life.
Link's jaw clenched, his expression hardening. He wasn't going to give up, not like this. I'm not giving up on you. You're still in there, I know you are.
She laughs. Who you trying to speak to? My past self? She laughs more. She's dead, she said coldly.
The words hit Link like a punch in the gut. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. No, that can't be true. Ganondorf chuckled as he watched the expression on Link's face. He knew exactly what Link was feeling, knew exactly what Link was thinking. And he was enjoying every moment of it. He watched as Link struggled to come to terms with what was happening, watching as the hope slowly faded from his eyes, as the reality of the situation truly hit him.
Oh, Link, you look so lost and helpless. She grabs him by the collar of his shirt.
Link's expression hardened, his gaze narrowing as she lifted him off the ground, her grip tight on his collar. He refused to show weakness, refused to let her see how much he was hurting, how much her words stung. It's sad that Zelda will never see you again, she said coldly. Link's eyes widened in shock, a sharp pain coursing through him as he struggled against her hold. A strangled gasp escaped his lips. At least she'll find you here. How pathetic, she taunted, her voice dripping with disdain. Link tried to speak, to say anything, but the pain was overwhelming. Ganon, despite his cruel demeanor, was stunned by what he was seeing. He had never expected her to act so brutally. He watched as Link struggled, his body trembling under the strain, while she wore a cold, sadistic smile. Look at you, writhing in pain. So weak, so pathetic. No wonder Zelda tossed you aside. Ah! She laughed. Link's expression twisted in anger at her words, despite his suffering. He tried to snap back, but the pain and exhaustion were too much. He was slipping, his strength fading fast. Look at you, losing colour already, she sneered, tossing him to the ground. Link lay on his side, his breath shallow and ragged, the pain overwhelming. His vision darkened at the edges as he fought to stay conscious, his body shutting down. Ganon couldn't believe what he was witnessing. He had seen many battles, but never something like this. A strange pang hit him, a flicker of unease at the horrifying scene. Goodbye, Link, truly, she said, walking away. Link's eyes began to close, his breathing slowing. He couldn't believe this was happening, that this was how it ended, betrayed by someone he once called a friend. Hours later, Zelda was on a stroll when she came across Link lying unconscious in the grass. Her eyes widened in shock at the sight. Tears welled up as she took in his fragile, broken state. Her heart shattered as she knelt beside him, trembling. She reached out, her fingers brushing his cheek. His skin was cold, sending a shiver through her. She had to do something, had to try to help him. Zelda carefully lifted him and carried him to the Shrine of Resurrection. She laid him gently in the water, working quickly to tend to him, her hands trembling as she fought to save him. She sat by his side, her eyes stinging with tears, determined to stay strong for him. Zelda sat in silence, her eyes never leaving Link's pale face. The warm glow of the Shrine of Resurrection bathed the chamber in a soft light, but nothing could ease the cold dread that gripped her heart. She held his hand gently, watching the steady but shallow rise and fall of his chest. The water around him shimmered faintly with healing energy, but it was slow, too slow for the wounds he had endured. Please, she whispered, her voice cracking as she leaned closer, pressing her forehead to his. Come back to me. I'm so sorry I wasn't there. I should have been there. Memories flashed in her mind, Link standing tall, quiet and loyal, always protecting her, always bearing the burden without complaint. She had taken that strength for granted. And now he looked like he was fading. Suddenly the water pulsed, just once. A flicker of energy ran through it, and Link's fingers twitched. Zelda gasped, clutching his hand tighter. Link, she called softly. His eyes didn't open, but there was something, a tremor in his brow, a flicker of pain or awareness. You're still in there. I know it. Please fight. Outside the shrine, the sun had dipped below the horizon, casting the land into twilight. The wind carried with it an eerie stillness, as if the world was holding its breath. Back inside, Zelda closed her eyes, a single tear slipping down her cheek. She began to hum a lullaby her mother used to sing to her, the same one she remembered Link quietly humming to the horses at the stable long ago. Her voice was soft, trembling, but full of hope. "Sleep, my hero, the light will find you." As the melody echoed faintly in the chamber, Link's lips parted slightly. A breath, not quite a word, escaped him. Zelda sat upright, heart pounding. He was trying to respond. "Link, I'm here." No more words came, but his breathing grew just a little steadier. His grip in her hand tightened, barely, but enough. Zelda smiled through her tears, placing a kiss on his forehead. You're not done yet. You hear me? This story isn't over." The tone deepens the tension between them, with Ganon processing what he just witnessed, and Tari showing no remorse. The air outside the shrine was heavy. Dusk had settled fully now, casting long shadows over the ruins. Ganon stood atop a jagged outcrop, arms crossed, his glowing eyes fixed on the horizon, but his mind was back with what he'd seen. Link, broken, bleeding, betrayed, and Tara standing over him like a reaper cloaked in cruelty, her hands slick with his blood and a grin carved into her face. He turned as he heard her footsteps behind him, calm, unhurried, like she hadn't just torn someone apart. "You didn't have to go that far." His voice was low, but there was an edge to it, something close to disapproval, maybe even disgust. Tari cocked her head, her tone playful, mocking. "Oh, spare me your moral awakening, Ganon. You've done worse with less reason." He narrowed his eyes at her. "I don't flay heroes to make a point. That wasn't strength. That was vengeance. Personal." She stepped closer, her expression tightening just slightly. Of course it was personal. He failed. He was weak. He still clung to Zelda like a child clings to a fairy tale. Her lips curled. He needed to be reminded of reality. Ganon studied her, his towering frame unmoving. There was something different in her now, not just ruthlessness, but a kind of void. He had aligned with monsters before, created them even, but this was different. "You enjoyed it," he said finally, his voice quiet but cutting. "Too much." Tari laughed, sharp and cold. "You say that like it's a bad thing." She looked up at him, unapologetic. "He was a symbol, and I broke him, just like I'll break her when she shows up to find the pieces." For a moment, Ganon didn't reply. The wind pulled at his crimson cloak, the silence between them thick. Then calmly, "You think killing him makes you stronger? It doesn't. It just means you've got nothing left but rage." Tari's eyes flickered with something, offense, hurt, anger, but it vanished quickly behind a smirk. "And you? Still clinging to your ancient grudges? Don't pretend you're above this." She turned away, her voice dripping with scorn. "If anything, I'm just what this world has always needed. Someone willing to finish what you never could." Ganon let her walk away. He didn't stop her. But as he stood there in the growing dark, he realized something that unsettled even him. He wasn't sure who the real monster was anymore. The fortress was carved into the bones of the earth, hidden deep beneath the mountains. Its halls were dark, lit only by molten veins pulsing through the stone, like a heart slowly beating in a body that should have died long ago. Tari moved through it with grace, her blood-stained fingers trailing along the cold walls like she belonged there, like she owned it. Ganon followed, slow and silent, not looming with power, but with something heavier. Doubt. They reached his chambers. Vast, ancient and Spartan, save for a massive obsidian throne, a stone basin of embers, and the silken drapes that enclosed the bed they sometimes shared. Tari didn't wait. She peeled off her cloak, letting it fall to the floor, and walked over to the basin. The orange glow lit her face from below, casting sharp shadows that made her eyes gleam unnaturally. She dipped her hands in the heated water, the blood swirling away like nothing. "You're quiet," she said without looking at him. Ganon stepped inside, the heavy doors sealing shut behind him with a soft thud. The air between them was thick, too thick for lovers who once bathed in fire together. "You went too far," he said, his voice low. "And you know it." Tari finally looked up, eyes locking with his in the firelight. "He was already broken, Ganon. I just finished the job you were too sentimental to complete." He flinched, not visibly but inside. She knew exactly where to press. The part of him that had once believed power alone could shape destiny. The part that still remembered Zelda's eyes, Link's blade. Hope, I turned you to my side, he said, stepping closer. I gave you the strength you craved, but now I wonder, was that a gift? Tari's expression didn't falter, but her voice softened, just slightly. You gave me freedom. Don't confuse that with regret. No, he murmured. I gave you corruption, and you embraced it so fully there's nothing left but the shadow. A pause. The embers cracked quietly in the basin. She turned from him, walking toward the curtained bed. You didn't create a monster, Ganon. You just stopped pretending I wasn't one to begin with. That line hit him harder than any blade. He stood there, staring at her silhouette through the curtains, watching the shift of her body as she slid onto the bed like nothing had happened, like this was just another night. But for Ganon, something had cracked. He walked to the edge of the bed, not joining her, not yet. His hand hovered over the curtain. Behind it was his lover, his creation, his mistake. I once wanted to remake the world, he said, more to himself than her. Now I'm not sure if I just helped ruin it further. Tari didn't answer right away. Then, softly, if you're looking for a heart in all this, Ganon, you shouldn't have torn yours out to win. Silence settled, the kind that didn't invite sleep, and Ganon, for the first time in centuries, felt something dangerous blooming in his chest. Uncertainty. Tension, regret, and passion swirl together as Ganon wrestles with his feelings for the woman he empowered. Ganon finally stepped forward, pushing aside the curtain. Tari was sprawled across the bed, her bare legs tangled in the sheets, the faintest hint of a smile on her lips. But it wasn't warm. It was the kind that masked too many sharp things underneath. She looked at him through lidded eyes. Still brooding? He didn't answer at first. He just stood there taking in the sight of her, so familiar and yet different. Once, her eyes burned with ambition, a fire that had matched his own. Now they were darker, colder, reflecting only destruction, not vision. You used to dream of changing the world, he said quietly. Now you just burn it. Tari's gaze flickered. Maybe the world didn't deserve anything better. She reached for him, fingers brushing against his chest plate. But you did. You still do. He caught her wrist, gently but firmly. The contact lingered, warm skin against calloused hand. For a moment, neither moved. Her breath slowed. Did I? He asked. His voice was deep, quiet, frayed at the edges. Tari searched his face, the lines of rage and war that had hardened him over centuries. But there was vulnerability there now, a crack in the stone. She leaned in, her voice like velvet and smoke. You made me strong. You gave me purpose. And now that I'm everything you built, you want to mourn me? Her lips hovered near his. You can't have it both ways. Ganon finally pulled her into him, mouth finding hers in a kiss that was rough, desperate. Not for lust, but clarity. His hand tangled in her hair as she clung to him, nails digging into his back. But it wasn't love, not anymore. It was loss, clawing its way out between breaths. They broke apart, breathing heavy, the heat between them undeniable, yet weighed down by everything unsaid. You still feel, Tari whispered, her fingers pressed over his chest where no heart beat. You pretend you don't, but you do. Ganon closed his eyes, jaw tight. He hated how she knew him, how her voice, even in the dark, could reach inside and twist the part of him that still remembered being more than this. You're the only thing I ever feared, he murmured. Then why won't you stop me? She asked, breathless. He didn't answer, because deep down he didn't know if he could, or worse, if he wanted to.